And this one she selects the book and look for. Tester.
Papers are made at the editorial level.
Yes. Into professional positions, you can do things at the
There are people who are historical and among the history of
But in the phone, she option, she will check it. I don't feel like it.
you can do it.
You say hello. Say hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to our press conference. Thank you so much for showing up. You play a very vital role in our fragile democracy. We wouldn't be happy to communicate with the general populace without your assistance. Mugabe, it's nice to see you. This man, he did an article for us, front page, I think it's about 3 weeks ago. I was very surprised because I was reluctant to give him the interview. He asked me questions and the history we had with this paper, I was very reluctant. I gave him that interview reluctantly so. The next morning we're on front page on a very nice picture befitting on the story which he had written. I'd never met him in person. And when I met him in person, I was surprised that he's such an unassuming character, you know. But he's the ultimate professional. So thank you indeed, all of you, for coming. So it's nice to see you, Mkolo. But your other two guys, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen Blessed. I haven't seen Costa. But oh, some of them are here. Okay. But it's nice to see all of you. With me, I've got Dr. Mashagaja, which you all know. Really, much of today's press is going to be addressed by him. we are dealing with issues that he's an expert on and his competency is noted. But I just wanted to note a few things for you. The standing committee is sitting in its weekly meeting, and we have looked at the preparations for our extraordinary congress, which are going very, very well. On the 31st of July, we should be able to choose our substantive leader. Of course, we're in consultation with the health authorities to make sure that public health is not jeopardized, and the health of our members and that of our leaders. We also noted and welcomed the judgment over the backing of MRT House. You will remember last week we did deliberated plan on these matters. You know that the judgment has been out, and as we said last week, we have owned this house like forever, and we are happy. A journalist asked me, how do you feel? Now we feel even more happy that it has been confirmed what was always known by everyone, that this is our house. I will skip something here because that's what Dr. Machagada is going to speak at length on, including the socio-economic conditions of our people during this lockdown. Really, the situation is not sustainable and not defendable. So there's something that the standing committee is seized with, trying to see what proposals can we give to government and how in Parliament we can advance our agenda in dealing with all of these things. We also noted credible reports, or we intercepted a plan by our Eastwell comrades to bring about 1,050 hooligans into our extraordinary congress to try and disrupt it. The security has been given a task to make sure, as Security Department, that we track those plans and they do not happen. With those opening remarks, I would like to hand over to Dr. Machagada for his major statement of today.
Thank you. Good afternoon, press. You may have noted that recently government has threatened to ban the operation of mobile money platforms being provided by Net1, Econet, and Telecel. The reasons for banning the mobile money platforms range from an attempt to control money laundering and also to try to stop or vaccinate against the impact of huge monies chasing the parallel market rate. At least those are some of the reasons that have been cited by government. But we condemn any attempts or move to ban mobile money platforms. This is going backwards because the world over is moving towards mobile money platforms. You remember that the first mobile money platform was introduced in Kenya, the M-Pesa. It's a revolution. Mobile money platforms are necessary because they ensure that there's financial inclusion. The formal banking system has failed the majority of poor people. Hence, the arrival of mobile money platforms has ensured that there's financial inclusivity, covering poor people who are displaced in the remotest parts of the country. So we condemn any move to try to scuttle or impair the operations of the mobile money platform. It is an anti-people move. It is not a pro-poor move. So we urge government to reconsider the threat of banning mobile money platforms. In fact, government must address the mischief. The mischief is not about mobile money platforms per se. The mischief is about macroeconomic instability, especially hyperinflation and the wayward parallel exchange rate, and the fact that the formal banking system is not able to provide the monies that are required by depositors. We all know that there are long banking queues and people cannot get the funds that they want, their money for that matter, from the banking sector. So they have to resort to the most convenient payment system, which is the mobile money platforms. So it's not the creation of mobile money platforms that there are problems in the country. Mobile money platforms are only a symptom of the deeper macroeconomic crisis, and in this case, the shortages of physical cash, and of course, uncontrolled hyperinflation, which has created transactions in huge volumes. Those huge volumes would not be necessary if our inflation was a single-digit figure. But if you talk of inflation rate of 1,000%, that will cascade to huge monetary transactions being peddled by the mobile money platforms. You know, as people carry out their business transactions and their personal transactions, it's all to do with hyperinflation, which is wreaking havoc in the economy. So I would say government must cure the mischief first. And the mischief is lack of coherent policies to deal with the hyperinflation, lack of coherent policies to deal with the gap between the parallel market exchange rate and the formal exchange rate. The mischief that is to do with the non-availability of cash from the banks when depositors want to get their cash. That is the mischief. It is the mischief of a clueless government which is not capable of stabilizing the economy and turning around the economy and providing jobs for the jobless masses, providing food for the hungry people, and also providing prosperity to Zimbabweans. That is the crisis. It is a crisis of governance, it is a crisis of leadership. It's not a crisis of mobile money platforms. So government is backing the wrong tree by banning mobile money platforms. I hope that sense is prevailing and they are going to renege or reverse that unwarranted move to ban mobile money platforms, because they are taking us to primitive ages when we have moved so far in terms of financial inclusion. I thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Machagada. I will take just 2 rounds of questions today. We need to be back at the standing committee. So we've got about 10 minutes at the most. We need to be out. So I'm going to take 2 rounds of questions, 5, and then the last 5, and then we're out of here. Yes, Mko.
Okay, my question is directed to Mr. Khupe. You mentioned about 1,050.
Do you want to project so that the mics that are here will get you?
You mentioned that the MDCT has intercepted plans by your STY colleagues to bring about 1,050 hooligans to disrupt the Congress. I wanted to find out, according to a report that was given by the organizing secretary in the last National Standing Committee, he mentioned that there are two sections of supposed delegates to the Congress. Some who are still with the MDC alliance, others who are with the MDCT. I will probably give an example. Chinopuza, I know, is the Secretary General of the UTASEN, but he is also with the alliance. I just wanted to find out, are these not bona fide delegates that you are now referring to as supposed leaders?
All right, thank you. Yes, Blessed.
Unfortunately, you didn't introduce us to the other person who's sitting there, so I'm not sure if he's...
All right, he's assisting us. These are information in the Harare province, so he's assisting us. In case we miss some of your questions, he'll forward to us.
Okay, so I'm now a bit.
You are safe, blessed.
Okay. My question are as follows. In your opening remarks, you noted that you standing committee is noting what proposals can be given to government. But in this same press conference, Dr. Mashakada has said that this government is clueless. There's crisis of leadership. So if I want to know if this is the party position that this is a clueless government with a crisis of leadership. Now, why would you want to give proposals to a clueless and a crisis of leadership government? It doesn't make sense to me. Then you have been withdrawing MPs that have pledged their allegiance to the MDC alliance. Now, Job Sikala just yesterday issued a statement declaring that he is the vice chairperson of the MDC alliance. He's still in parliament. Lynette Kore-Kaireng has also made those same declarations and issued statements under the vice president, the MDC alliance. Your party position and your constitution says that anyone who supports any other party other than the MDCT ceases automatically to become a member of your party. So, I want to understand the rationale in your recall. Are you doing this in a vindictive manner that you are targeting the people that you most don't like and leaving out others? Or are you afraid of Job Scala? Because Job Scala last time said, just recall me and you see how dangerous I am. So are you afraid of him? Or maybe these are your moles inside the MDC alliance?
You'll never know.
Then lastly, we read a report of violence that happened in this building some last week. Now, you have been saying that you are moving away from the culture of violence. But when a security officer guarding your acting president is assaulted in the MRT house, which you say everyone else should feel safe, I want to understand exactly what is going. And lastly, who is now the acting president of the MDC?
Okay.
Given that the 90 days of Madame Thokozani Khupe expired yesterday, so she can't legally convene any meeting towards going to the extraordinary Congress. Is she a sitting duck?
All right. Thank you. He asked for questions, so I guess we've got our 5 questions. Unless if there's someone I'm closing out. Ladies, going once, going twice. It would be nice to get a question from a lady. Last week we got one. Can we get? All right. Okay. Dr. Manjagara, all right. Daily news. 1,050. Are they not bona fide delegates? You will appreciate that in our constitution, you cannot be a member of another political party outside the MDCT. So anyone who has pledged allegiance, either verbally or through acts or omissions, they cannot be bona fide members of the MDCT, and then therefore they cannot participate in our Congress. Otherwise, if you do that, then when they may as well attend, because he was, as you know, the Deputy Treasurer General in 2014. But he is no longer a member of our party because of his publicly stated choices, and his actions have actually shown us that he has left us to be with another party. So, no. these are hooligans. And we must not shy away from, you see, Khupe, politics should be a contestation of ideas. You see, I think when the Alliance ran its so-called Congress in Gweru, which now the court has declared null and void, we never disrupted them. No one went there to say, I want to go and disrupt them. We allowed them to carry on with whatever they were doing. And then if you are going to challenge it, you must take it to a competent court of law, or you can debate it in the public sphere. It's okay. But the point I'm making is, let us be able to disagree and differ without being disagreeable. We just have to be civil. So these are hooligans. I don't know, why are they threatened about us holding a successful Congress? If they think that that Congress does not meet constitutional muster, and they must take it to a court of law, and they must favor the court with evidence. By the way, the court works on evidence, and then, as we have seen with the two congresses, the one in Stanley Square, Extraordinary Congress, and the one in Gweru, the court had to nullify those congresses. So violence has no place in our society, and we should shun it. I want to come to the issue of our recall of MPs, Blessed. I'm sure I can go to the scriptures because we're a Christian nation after all. I think there is a verse in the Bible, I think it's the Apostle Peter. It's not Paul, I think it's Apostle Peter. And he says, and I hope I'm quoting it correct, he says, the Lord is not slack concerning his promise, as some call it so, but is long-suffering, not willing that anyone should perish. Instead of chiding us for being this patient with MPs, because we are not vindictive in this whole process. We appreciate that there are some who, for some reason or the other, are being threatened, and that's not Job. I agree with you. That's not Job. He's not under that. But if we can reclaim the objectives of our movement, we didn't start this movement so that we can be firing each other from Parliament. So you will appreciate the communique that has come from the SG and even from myself from this podium and on different party platforms. Our use of this recall tool is strategic to our objectives. You will appreciate that I may not be able to go deep into our strategic objectives and how we're going to go about them. But I want to at least assure you that we are not vindictive. We are not using this in a malicious way, but we are using it in a strategic way. And I think so far, if you look at these matters dispassionate, you'll agree that we've been very strategic for us as a party and how we have gone about this matter. The issue of violence at MRT. With regards to the violence that happened last week, or the alleged violence of last week, the Standing Committee did receive a report on that matter. And the Standing Committee, in its wisdom, has tasked the Secretary for Security to really look at it and have some mitigating measures to make sure that at least we do not have such shameful headlines happening over a party, as you correctly caught it, that is turning the corner and has a new trajectory in the manner how we handle disputes and disagreements. But I must hasten to tell you that there is a dangerous campaign, and that campaign goes like this. That campaign seeks to portray the Secretary General, Honorable Monzola, as a very violent man. So it will go like this. Monzora has told so-and-so his aide to assault Dr. Khupe's aides, and I saw something, I think it's Zimbabwean, just as we're busy in the Standing Committee, we saw something to that effect. I don't know of anyone who was beaten here today. I made sure I spoke to some people and I said, please be on the lookout, go down there so that if anything happens, you tell me. So nobody knew that I've deployed people there, down there. None of such happened. So I don't know if you know that Honorable Monzora is a very honorable man. There is no iota of violence in him. So I really want us to be vigilant as the media, to be careful that you've got these mischievous reports that are getting out there to portray us as a divided leadership. For crying out loud, blessed, this is just an internal contest. Huh? People want to make it as if it's going to be the end of the world for someone, though. That if someone wins and then it's the end of the world for someone. No, it's just an internal contest. At the end of the day, there's only going to be one outcome, and it's going to be one person who's going to win of the how many ever there are. And that's not the end of the road. That's the nature of contest. Only one person emerges, and if that person emerges, well, good and fine. So, no, we don't look at it in that manner. Anyone who emerges is a leader of this party, and we are happy. Acting President, you need to appreciate the Supreme Court judgment. I think, I don't know how to send it around, but at least I've got your WhatsApp number. I'm going to forward it to you. The Supreme Court judgment was dealing with the succession issue of the MDCT, because there were those who said there were 3 vice presidents, and we wanted to know who succeeded or who became acting president at the demise of Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai. And that's what the Supreme Court dealt with. And the Supreme Court said there is only one vice president for the MDCT, and that person is Dr. Khupe. And therefore Dr. Khupe is acting. And then it went further to say you need to call an extraordinary Congress. And Dr. Khupe has to do it within 3 months. But if for whatever reason she can't call it within 3 months, the national chairperson, since the national chairperson also assumes the powers of the president in any event, can call the national extraordinary Congress. So there is no vacuum, there is no lame duck. We are seated in that national standing committee chaired by Madam Acting President. And all of us are happy, running the party, and I'm sure you can see that this is the MDC that you all know. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, sure. I just want to address the issue of dealing with the clueless government and giving proposals. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no doubt that the country is burning. The wheels have come off, and the economy is on autopilot. Government is not doing anything to arrest the decline of the economy. Government is not doing anything to lessen the burden of poverty on the people. Our duty as an opposition is to put our own alternatives or proposals. Even before that failing or clueless government, we should position ourselves as a government in waiting. So giving proposals or alternatives, it doesn't matter whether you are giving it to a clueless government or not. It is our duty to always point out an alternative direction which the country must take. For example, we've clearly said this issue of a debauched local currency or monocurrency does not work. Let's return back to the United States dollar. It's a clear proposal. Whether they take it or they don't, we've done our duty. We've also said corruption is a cancer in the society. The impact of corruption is more than the impact of sanctions. We've put a proposal that the clueless government must deal with corruption decisively. So we are giving them acid tests for them to fail. And the fact that they fail, it is their problem. But it is our duty to highlight alternatives that we can put on the table to move this country forward. So we'll continue to table our proposals or alternatives. But of course, because it's an incompetent government, it has no capacity, it may not be able to implement those proposals or alternatives, but it is our duty. We cannot just be opposing opposition. We must also be an opposition that puts alternatives or proposals on the table. That is the context of that issue. I thank you.
Thank you, Doc. So I'm going to take the last round. As I said, we need to rush back to our meeting. Yes, Nicole.
Okay, mine is a follow-up to the first question.
All right.
According to the presentation that was done by the National Organizing Secretary, Khupe, it looks like there is almost a half share. And when you now say, because they pronounce themselves in one way or the other, does it suggest that almost half of the supposed delegates of the Congress will not be participating in that Congress? And what does it then say about the quorum that must be there in terms of the delegates?
All right. Thank you. Yes, Blessed.
I just want to follow up on Ngo's question. So your delegate, so the Supreme Court took you back to the 14th of February 2018, and the people that were in that in the MDC at that particular time making
2014, not 18.
Sorry?
You said 2018.
Yes, on the day of the death of Morgan Changaya as your president. Right. So it took you back to that particular day, to the delegates that you had on that particular day, as your Congress delegates and as your members of the Standing Committee and the National Council. Now, aren't you creating a new party by removing these people within these 3 months that you're supposed to call for an extraordinary Congress? For instance, you've already fired Nelson Chamisa, you fired Charlton Wende, you fired a whole host of other people who sit and who are delegates to that Congress. But you continue to insist that that is the Congress of the MDCT that was led by Morgan Changaya. But now, with all those people removed, it stops being the MDCT that was led by Morgan Changaya, because you have excluded systematically other people who are supposed to be in that Congress, the African way. Then I want to just follow up. You say that there is a dangerous campaign to portray Muonzora as a very violent man. My question did not include Muonzora. I simply asked you about the assaults that were there. Now, out of all the people who had Harvest House, why did you single out Muonzora as being, in your inference, being part of that assault? I would want to know, is there something that you know that we don't know, that was not contained in my question? And in your response, Honorable Mashakada, you said that you want to be an alternative government. As an alternative government, that means that you have to wait till 2023. And with the current unraveling of the economy and the levels talk about and the cluelessness, do you think that this nation can wait until 2023? So
All right. The talk will take and then we'll call it a day. Baba, thank you so much for your question. Unfortunately, I speak on behalf of the organization, not individuals. So I'm not able to comment on Honorable Pepe's views or presentations, whether they are real or they are not real, or whether there is such a report or not. I'm not going to be able to comment there. But to the extent that they are real, still I'm saying I don't comment on people's individual presentations. Like, let me give you an example. I give a view, the doc gives a view, and all the standing committee members give their views, and then we come up with a resolution, in other words, a position of the organization. And that's what I will communicate to the public. Otherwise, we will really struggle here. Doctors' views and so on and so on. But we speak about an organizational view, which means it's a reconciliation of all of those views, and then they come forward. So maybe watch out for the organization's view on these matters rather than individual. I know how the press operates. You guys, you like to just pick up all those contradictions here and there, but trust me, we finally reconcile all of that and come up with an organizational view, which is what we comment here on. And then on Blessed's comment that says we have systematically removed people. Those of you that are following, and you are the media, so you're obviously following, on Sunday, Nelson Chamisa was on South African Network, ENCA, and I'm quoting him verbatim. He said, I'm a president of the MDC Alliance, and the MDCT is a different and a distinct party which the two must not be confused. I'm quoting him verbatim. So, if someone is that clear, if he's that explicit, honestly speaking, how are we systematically kicking them away? Which is the same thing. You will never find Wende in any platform claiming that he's our member. We can even go to his filings in court. Even when we recalled him from parliament, he says, I have nothing to do with MDCT. So you must agree that if we're to go with your version, we must take people kicking and screaming and saying, come, you're a member, come and participate in this Congress. In this sense, no, we can't do that. So, no, we are not systematically sidelining people or removing people. We are enforcing their constitutional given rights, the rights of assembly, the rights of association. They have a right to disassociate, and they've taken that right, and we affirm and defend that right. Why single out Honorable Monzora? It's because the media reports keep singling him out, and that's why I said there is a desperate campaign to paint him as a violent man, so that when you speak of Monzora, you think of a violent man. So that when you think of Monzora, you think that he's running a dirty campaign, and anyone who disagrees with him is going to be beaten or denied access to Harvest House. It is not true. So I'm singling him out because I realize that he is a victim of this desperate campaign. And there is this desperate campaign to paint a picture of a Monzora who is at war with Dr. Khupe. It's not possible. These two leaders come a very long way together. I happen to know both of them very well. So I am happy to tell the media and the general public that we are going to have a very successful extraordinary Congress. And one of these leaders is going to emerge. And when that leader emerges, you will see that all the other contestants will rally behind that leader and congratulate and we celebrate, because that leader now will be the face of our party and will be responsible for taking us forward. So we cannot seem to almost aid this narrative that the media wants to set, that these contests are a war. There is no war here. We are trying to democratically choose our leader who is going to be our best foot forward in 2023. I am sure all of you can't wait to be under an MDCT-led administration in this country. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Khupe.
Maybe didn't.
Just to answer your question.
The quorum part of it.
Sorry, can I answer the question that is posed to me? Well, it's a framed question, in a sense. When we talk about an alternative government, we don't periodize it. We are an alternative government today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Even if it takes to 2023, we'll still remain an alternative government. And no way have I suggested that change must wait for 2023. I've never suggested that in any manner. Provided the change that takes place must be constitutional. And I have to underline that. People need change as early as yesterday, provided it is going to be constitutional. That's what I can stress. But as to us being an alternative government, We are ready today, tomorrow, and any time to take over the reins of government. We are capable. I thank you.
But my question was, can people wait? You didn't answer that.
Well,
Can
I
people
cannot
wait?
talk on behalf of the people.
But you represent the people. You are a
You are part of the people. Can you wait until 2023? Are you ready to
I
wait?
don't represent the people. You do.
No, you are part of society.
You are an MP. You are a leader of political party
Yeah.
that claims to be an alternative government. So you
Yeah.
can't deflect that question to me because I only represent me.
It's an unfair question for you to ask me, can the people wait? You know that the people are impatient. People want the government gone like yesterday. Unless you don't stay in Zimbabwe. You know that people are impatient. They can't stomach this government any day longer. And I'm surprised that you still ask that rhetoric question. People have suffered enough. The government must go. Thank you.
Thank you, Job. Mukova, we will have our quorum. Somebody will have it. Thank you, press. We'll meet next time.
Go back to the standing committee.